Hi, this is Eric Broom. Case study: Teacher reacts negatively to personnel evaluation. All right, so to summarize and report what has happened, the teacher evaluations need to be submitted soon, and only one of the many new hires has a negative evaluation. That is Mrs. Stevens. She seems to have little control over her students, so they're not engaged, not interested, and when approaching her room, there's a lot of noise. I met with her on Thursday. She was irritable and frustrated when I suggested ways to involve and motivate her students. And then the following Monday, I observed her classroom again, and nothing had changed. We met that afternoon. I gave her the evaluation form to look over, and she did not enjoy that. Threw it back and thought it was unfair, and said that she won't take that kind of rating without a fight. Reporting legal or ethical issues. So Mrs. Stevens feels like she's being treated unfairly and unjustly. She feels the evaluation is discriminatory and that she's received little to no help from administration. I don't think any laws have been broken, but if she has joined the teachers union, she'll probably seek help from them if it goes that way. She would be granted tenure upon receiving a positive evaluation here. Synthesizing. So Mrs. Stevens is frustrated about her poor rating on her teacher evaluation form because she feels it is unfair, inaccurate, and that she is a much better teacher than I, the principal, indicated. Therefore, I need to evaluate my next steps in regards to her evaluation to terminate her or not, and if my evaluation process is fair and accurate. Synthesizing more. So me, the principal, we know that I've observed her multiple times with negative results. I've given her at least one post-observation conference to provide feedback. I gave her the evaluation form that she took negatively, and I seem to be determined in not wanting to work with Mrs. Stevens. Not sure why. How many times have I observed her? For what length of time? Have I given her any meaningful feedback? Has anyone else observed her? Have I discussed her ineffective teaching with my supervisor or other administrators? And what else, or is there anything else that's happened that has caused us to have an unpleasant relationship? Mrs. Stevens, we know that this is her first year at my school. She was very irritated and defensive in the post-conference on Thursday. She's made statements regarding her trying to involve students more, that students clam up when the principal's in the room, and that nobody has given her meaningful feedback. With a positive evaluation, she would receive tenure, and she's prepared to fight against this evaluation. The unknown. Is this her first year in general, or is it just her first year at our school? I'm assuming it's not her first year if she's getting granted tenure. I'm guessing it's her third or fourth year. What's her students' opinions of her? What are her students' academic results? Do we have any evidence of her using differentiation, multiple types of assessments, or etc.? Our evaluation system. So we know that there's been multiple observations, and there's a form used that's very short and not meaningful. There has been one post-observation conference. There was only feedback given about getting students more involved. Unknown. Is this the only form that I use? Is this what has always been used? What does the entire evaluation process consist of? Who else is involved? Is there any constructive feedback given or ways to improve? So there's not a whole lot known about this evaluation system or if it's valid. Are stakeholders affected? So is she a community member? Is she a coach? The community is going to be affected. When teachers let go, it always is affected. There's going to be talk. Teachers are going to worry about their own evaluations and so forth. Before making any decision, there's a lot of questions I need answered. So what have I done to support her? What strategies have we used to create a better learning environment? Why hasn't our classroom changed? There's a lot of unknowns. So with the details of this case, it's hard for me to make a decision that I feel is fair and appropriate without getting more information. Options and consequences. So we can terminate her without discussion. That's not really an option, I don't think. Probably legal action will be taken, and the staff may resent the administrative team and lose trust. We can terminate her with discussion and evaluation of her work. So again, this really depends on what we know and what has happened. If we have documentation, what the past years look like. And that may also lead to some legal action. Third, meet with Ms. Stevens with other admin and come up with like a 3-tier plan and give a timeline of what is expected. I think this would be a good option. Very little consequences. Number 4, meet with Mrs. Stevens and other admin and just discuss ways to improve and when we're going to evaluate again. I think she would get defensive with this one. It's not as specific and detailed, so that's why I like the third option better. Pros and cons, like I just said, one's not really a good option. Two, I don't really like. It's just going to cause a lot of problems, open up a lot to happen, unless there's that much evidence that we need to let her go. Three is the best option, gives multiple choices for giving feedback and ways to improve, and it's meaningful. The fourth is also a good option, but it leaves the door open for more issues. Again, I would advocate for three, like I said. To implement it, we're going to first gather all the documentation we have on Mrs. Stevens, evaluate it, reflect on it. We can then meet with her and analyze the plan and how it can be a useful tool for her to become a stronger professional. And then upon starting that improvement plan, just make sure to meet with her constantly, weekly, to discuss it and how I can help. I don't want to let go of teachers because they're struggling. I want to coach them and help them build confidence and become better. We could also offer in-house or out-of-house mentor program if we had the finances and if we thought that would be a good idea. So we have options. That is the way I would implement it, I think. It seems like a good option. I think Mrs. Stevens would react positively. And my reflection, which I will post. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it made sense. And maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Thanks.